Redshift here, joining my part to shift perceptions out of the pink and into the red. Have you ever thought about how each god has his or her own form of warfare carried out by his or her devotees, acolytes, believers, whatever you want to call them? Or if not like intentionally, then like you can consider it a form of warfare of that god or the acolytes or a way of or the dark side, the destructive side of the positive side of that god, right? That god's attribute. You know, like there's Ares and Thor and other so-called gods of war, and they have believers who train with, spears and swords and guns, etc. They kill the bodies of their enemies. This is physical war. This kind of war leaves scars or amputated limbs or dead bodies. Then there's gods of love, and they have adherents who sometimes use sex as a weapon. Sex or love. Right? Either through rape or through getting women into bed with lies, which make the woman regret the sex after she discovers that he lied about being rich or whatever, or men who cheat and or who lie to women to make them fall in love with him, and then who have sex with those women just to make those women think that he's serious about them, even though he's not, because for some reason he wants to hurt such girls. Maybe he's getting revenge for something she did to him, or he's getting revenge on her for something she did to someone that he cares about, like his brother or best friend, or maybe he's just a sadist, or maybe he's out to hurt as many women as possible out of a desire to get revenge on the whole female gender because of something that a woman in the past did to him, something that he's still angry about. This is emotional war. This kind of warfare leads to trauma. It tends to traumatize and leave emotional calluses. And it emotionally cripples people, making them unable to trust, unable to open up, unable to love, unable to be happy. Gods of agriculture have the dark side of how one can burn fields as a way of waging war, or starve others to get them to comply. They used to surround cities, and then, an army did, and then they'd starve the people in the city, right, and to get them to surrender, right, because they wouldn't let any kind of supplies in, right, or they can, or people could spread fungus or some other kind of biological weapon that destroys, fruit trees or crops. These are subtler forms of physical war. This kind of warfare inflicts horror on its victims. This kind of, agriculture war, right? This kind of thing is going to be coming back in the near future. I promise you. Well, I can't promise, but I think it's very likely that this kind of thing is going to come about in the near future again. Just read the science fiction book The Wind-Up Girl. It depicts a very believable future where all crops are genetically engineered, and one must buy the expensive crops of the companies that genetically engineer those crops, because if you don't, then the forms of crops, the other forms of the crops that are not genetically engineered, there's like diseases that have been genetically engineered to destroy those crops. And I think those diseases in the book were created by the company that creates the seeds that are immune. Right? So if you don't buy these super expensive crops, you're going to starve, because if you try to grow regular food, free food, it's going to get attacked by these diseases, and then your crops will be completely worthless, right? And so this is a form of like starvation warfare, right? Countries being forced to buy expensive seeds of the company, which makes both the disease for the crops that are not genetically engineered, and it makes the crops which are immune to that disease which they create. This could absolutely be coming in the near future. Mark my words. Within the next 40 to 80 years, this will likely be a common occurrence. It could be the primary form of war in the world at that point. The only thing that could stop it would be widespread revolt by the people. But people these days are such cowards that I wonder if they will bother revolting, or will instead just bend over and take it like they've been doing for decades. Letting the government, the corporations, and women screw the 99% harder and harder and harder each decade. MGTOW is like the very first glimmerings that men have any self-respect at all. Metaphorically speaking, we are now hemorrhaging life-threatening amounts of blood from the rectum due to the severity of the anal rape that we've been tolerating. Metaphorical anal rape. And yet we are still not overthrowing the government. It's the most disgusting thing in the world to be under this level of tyranny. A level of tyranny which could have not even been imagined by George Orwell, could not have even been imagined by the Founding Fathers, and yet we are tolerating it. The Founding Fathers revolted when they were under a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of tyranny. We are under a massive amount of tyranny, and we still have not revolted. It's the most disgusting thing in the world to tolerate this level of tyranny. Gods of water have adherents who might poison a well, or destroy some wave barriers so as to allow waves to destroy the beachfront houses. Like, if we want to do a revolution, let's make the 1% suffer. And if we want to make the 1% suffer, all we have to do, well, not all we have to do, but one of the ways we could do it would be destroy all their beachfront houses. And how do we do that? We just, like, pile up a bunch of sand and or rocks in front so that it goes all the way up, and it makes the beach go all smoothly up, so the water doesn't crash against the water barrier. I mean, the big barrier, like a little bit of a cliff, they build those with wood and stuff, or rock. Well, all you'd have to do is pile up a bunch of little rocks in a smooth ramp up to that, or a bunch of sand in a smooth ramp up to that, and then when there's a near tide or a lot of waves, the water will just go right up into the house. And it'll just crash against the house, and it'll flood the house, and it'll be awesome. It'd destroy the house. So, that's yet one more way we could wage war against rich people, right? Destroy all their beachfront houses by doing that. And a lot of these people don't even live in their beachfront houses all year round. We could do it during the winter when they're not even living at the house. It would be awesome. We could do it at night so the cops wouldn't, what are the cops going to do, right? Like, if we have, like, revolutionaries burning houses around the town, and then we have other revolutionaries at the same time, piling up a bunch of sand and rocks in front of, the most expensive of the beachfront houses, so as to nullify their barriers, so that the water goes right up to the house and destroys the house. I'm not saying it would, like, knock the whole house over, but I mean, I'm saying it would, like, flood the bottom level of the house, or at least give a bunch of water damage to it, and flood any basement that there is. And we could, wage war against the elites like that, too. That'd be really nice. It'd probably be pretty easy, too. Gods of intoxication have believers who tell subversive and painful to hear truths, who are also chaotic and discordant, and who encourage riots and such. This is emotional war and cultural war. This kind of war upends people's beliefs and mentally and emotionally unsettles them. It can also sweep them up in the wake of the riot, making them lose themselves as they join the mob of angry or hedonistic devotees. Acolytes of the gods of wisdom and luck, whether good luck or bad luck, have a way of confounding people and tricking people, as do those who follow trickster gods. This is war against the psyche or the spirit. This kind of warfare can be very demoralizing. It can result in apathetic people who do not have the strength to try again because they feel they will just get knocked down again. It results in people who are afflicted with learned helplessness. It is absolutely essential to understand that life is only about one thing: war. Good men wage war against evil, both in the outside world and in themselves. Bad men wage war against anyone who gets in the way of them achieving their goal by any means necessary. So bad men just have their selfish goals, and anyone who gets in the way is, deserving of extermination, as far as the bad men are concerned. So they try to destroy anyone, no matter how good they are, if they just get in their way at all. Good men wage war against evil, both in the outside world and themselves. And the goals of bad men may be various, maybe to get more money, maybe to get more status, maybe to get a particular woman, maybe whatever, right? Economics is war against both other countries and against one's own populace. Politics is war against other politicians and against the voters. Traditional war with bullets and knives and bombs is war. Sanctions are war. Propaganda is war against the bottom 99% of the population. Advertising is war against both rival companies selling the same kind of products and war against the consumer who wants to keep his money in his pocket. The advertiser has to bypass the consumer's psychological and emotional defenses so as to be able to convince the consumer to buy the product. Exercise is war over females, where one tries to get as fit and attractive as possible so as to defeat your opponents who are of your same gender, who are competing with you for quality members of the opposite sex. So when men are lifting weights, they're actually trying to wage war against other men who do not lift weights, or who lift weights but who maybe cannot get as big, or who can get as big but are not spending as much time in the gym. Everybody's trying to get as buff as possible so as to beat out all the other people of their same gender and all the other men so that they can get women. And women who exercise are doing the same thing. They're trying to get more fit and more attractive than other women so as to get the best quality man, right? Even generosity in the form of men making MGTOW videos, for example, is a form of war. So even generosity can be war. Like generosity to poor countries that enslave those countries, or generosity to the people in the form of welfare, which is really not generosity, it's more like theft and redistribution. But You could call it generosity, I guess. This enslaves black people. Like, black people would be doing way, way better if there were no welfare for them, right? They would not be being as sexually promiscuous and irresponsible by having too many kids, more kids than they can afford, or kids with bad women, having early kids that they can't afford yet, or whatever. Like, black people would be, and then being less dysfunctional like that would mean that they would have much stronger communities, much more moral communities, much wiser communities, and they would be able to resist government tyranny much stronger, much better, right? So even generosity can enslave people, right? So generosity can even be war, right? Like, for example, in the form of men making MGTOW videos, that's generosity, but that can be a form of war too. It is war. It's war against feminism, it's war against gynocentrism, and it's war against high-status men who are both hogging all the women and ruining all the women by having casual sex with the majority of women in society today. Making MGTOW videos is also war against the government and the corporations, both of which lie to us about female nature, telling us that female nature is good instead of the truth, which is that female nature is amoral at best and evil at worst. Although female nature can be turned to good because female nature is submissive, and that is not necessarily a good or bad quality. Submissiveness and obedience are morally neutral qualities. So if men are moral and moral men are in charge of women, then women's submissiveness and obedience makes women be moral. So it's not like female nature is just pure evil, but if left to its own devices, then it does become pure evil. But my point with all this is that absolutely everything is war. It's all a Darwinian struggle for survival and supremacy and propagation. That is, passing on your genes and your ideas and your family name and all the rest of it. And women are utterly ruthless in this struggle. Men need to be utterly ruthless as well. This is why MGTOW works. Because like all true martial arts, MGTOW strikes weakness with strength. It hits women where it hurts, by denying women provision, protection, and procreation. And MGTOW gets other men to do it too, by exposing the misandry of the law as well as the unadulterated wickedness of female nature. At least female nature that is unrestrained, right? Like I said, female nature is not purely evil, but it is purely evil when you let it do whatever it wants, if you give it freedom. Let me see if I can find the thumbnail. I have a thumbnail here of a quote, right? And the quote says something like, women are enslaved by their own freedom, or by their own liberation, or something like that, right? And this is really true, right? Women are enslaved by their own liberation. I can't remember the chick's, I think her name was like Susan Faludi, or Falucci, or something like that. But, yeah, I don't know where the quote is, but, yeah, it would probably take me too long to find it because I have a ton of, pictures here for thumbnails and stuff. I save all the pictures that I've used on all the thumbnails for all my videos in case I'm going to repost those videos on my main channel. But, yeah, it said something like women are enslaved by their own liberation. And this is really true. And they're also liberated by their own enslavement. So women are only virtuous when they are enslaved. Women, when given freedom, become unabashedly wicked. Each generation of women has been more wicked, more evil than the last. And the modern generation of women is very evil. Very, very evil. Very promiscuous, very dishonest, very ruthless, very selfish, very entitled, very hedonistic, very lazy, very manipulative, etc. So, men need to deny women provision and protection and procreation and get other men to do it by exposing the misandry of the law and exposing how evil female nature is when it's not controlled. Women are like gods. They each have their own ways of waging war on men. Because like I said, all the gods have different ways of waging war, or their acolytes do. Women each have their own ways of waging war against men and against other women too. Bad women wage war against men by using men to monkey branch up to higher status men, who they also don't love because they're promiscuous. The women are promiscuous, so they don't love any of the men. They're just trading up because of greed for money and stuff, greed for money and status. Mediocre women wage war on men by locking men down with marriage and or pregnancy, whether it's intentional or unintentional, and then nagging and shaming their man into doing what she wants. Right? That's how mediocre women wage war on men. And good women, even they wage war against men, but it's more in a more in a harmless way, and it's more in a virtuous way, right? Like good women wage war on men by hooking men with love and virtue, right? Because she actually loves him because she kept her virginity until he married her or until they were engaged and then they got married. So she loves him and this hooks him and she's virtuous and this also interests him in her, makes him love her. And then those women use kindness, compassion, mercy, and quietness to softly coerce their man into doing what she wants. Men use physical force to wage war on other men and on their wives as well, when those wives must be brought to heel, like when they're misbehaving. Women use psychological and emotional and reputational warfare against men to get men to do whatever women want. Or maybe not whatever women want, but women do want men to do things sometimes, right? And women use emotional and reputational and psychological warfare against men to get men to do what they want, especially these days, right? There's like a soft, virtuous way of using psychological and emotional warfare against a man. There's also an unvirtuous way of using psychological and emotional warfare against a man. And women these days use unvirtuous ways of psychological and emotional warfare against men, as well as reputational warfare against men. This can take the form of, threatening to destroy his reputation by telling something about him that is true, such as a secret that would be damaging if it got out, or crying to get the man to cave and give her what she wants. A lot of women cry to get what they want. This is a technique that the famous playwright Noel Coward called, quote, the tyranny of tears, unquote. It can take the form of her spreading rumors behind a man's back. It can take the form of threatening to destroy his reputation with total fabrications. Evil lies asserting that he did things that he did not actually do, like falsely accusing a man of rape. It can take the form of her convincing him that he is in the wrong by convincing him that he is always asking too much of her. It can take the form of her pressuring him to take on more of the burden by telling him that he never pulls his weight around the house, even though he does. It can take the form of her giving him the cold shoulder. It can take the form of her denying sex, refusing to have sex with him because he won't do what she wants. And even back when marital rape was legal, I'm very confident that it took the form of her just laying there and letting him fuck her while she doesn't participate in the slightest. So while she probably wouldn't resist back when marital rape was legal, she just let him have sex with her without showing any interest or participating in the slightest. Thus to show him how uninterested in him she is, and how she is not going to make the sex the slightest bit enjoyable for him if he is not going to do what she wants him to do. Women's warfare against men can take many forms. What can men do to wage war on women? If men are too cowardly to use physical force out of fear of the government, then men are only left with the option of spreading the truth about female nature and withdrawing provision and protection and procreation from women and convincing other men to do it as well. That's about it. Women are far more powerful than men because of the progressive legal emasculation of men that has taken place over the last several decades. Government favors women because women are the tool the government uses to oppress men. And like Black Pill Presentation said in his excellent video, Feminists Endgame, Mechanized Hypergamy, that's the name of the video, Feminists Endgame, Mechanized Hypergamy. Government is also the tool that women use against men, so that they can breed with alphas and get betas to pay for it by way of taxes. If you pay taxes, you are literally a cuckold, because you are paying for single mothers to raise the children of higher status men than those women deserve, as well as irresponsible low minority men. If you pay taxes, you are raising the daughters of low IQ minority men by giving the government money that it then turns around and gives to single mothers. And those black men often have babies by multiple women. Way more babies than those guys could afford under a sound money system with no welfare. So those guys pay little or no child support to that black single mother, and thus the government is not even being paid back for the assistance that it is giving her with your tax dollars. Thus, if you pay taxes, you are raising black babies. You are raising mixed-race babies. You are raising white trash babies. You are raising the babies of absentee fathers. You are raising the babies of low IQ men. You are raising the babies of low-quality women who should not be able to have that many children, and are only able to have that many children because of welfare. you are raising the babies of men who are in prison. If you are paying taxes, you are raising the babies of all these kinds of men. You're raising all these kinds of babies. And you are funding your own obsolescence. You are fueling mechanized hypergamy, where all women get to breed with alphas, and all betas have to pay for all of it. While those betas get no sexual access to women, because all women are breeding with the alphas. That's the setup that all women want. That's the setup that we're moving toward. And that is the setup that you are fueling, that you are funding, if you are paying taxes. It is nothing less than absolutely disgusting. It is nothing less than horrifically vile. And no one should pay taxes for this reason alone. Not to mention all the endless war and the tyrannical laws and the unconstitutional surveillance, etc. All those are reasons not to pay taxes too. So what the hell are you doing paying taxes? It's insane. You are stabbing yourself in the heart, and you're stabbing other men in the gut when you pay taxes. That is literally what you're doing. You are lowering the sexual marketplace value of all men when you pay taxes. Not to mention you are funding dysgenics. You are doing all kinds of evil things when you pay taxes. If you are paying taxes, you are doing an evil, evil thing. So don't pay taxes. Paying taxes is nothing less than horrifically vile in such a setup as we have today. And this fueling of mechanized hypergamy, this funding of mechanized hypergamy is absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely horrifically vile. It is abominably abhorrent. And if you are not enraged about it, kill yourself. Because anyone who is not enraged about this system, anyone who is not just itching to start shooting cops and military and politicians in the head over this issue, much less all the other issues that you should also be itching for a revolutionary war over, is a guy with no balls, no self-respect, and who deserves to be turned into a cuckold, who is robbed by taxes, and who gets no sexual access, and whose taxes are used to raise the babies of other men who do have balls, who have the balls to impregnate women and then run off and impregnate yet more women. I'm not saying that's a good thing, I'm just saying they have balls, and so they deserve to procreate more. Men with balls deserve to procreate even if they have low IQs. Men with no balls do not deserve to procreate, even if they have higher than average IQs. And this is because courage is a base level virtue. All other virtues are basically based on courage. Without courage, none of the other virtues are even possible once tyranny becomes extreme enough. Because you'll just capitulate like a woman. You'll just capitulate to any level of tyranny if you have no courage. So ask yourself, which category do you fall into? You need to ask yourself of this question. If you think that you fall into the category of men with balls, then ask yourself, what am I doing to destroy this corrupt, tyrannical system? Other than just, going MGTOW. Do you even have a YouTube channel where you make MGTOW content? Because as far as I'm concerned, that is the absolute base level of what you should be doing. Like, if you're not making MGTOW content on your own YouTube channel, then you are not doing enough. Going MGTOW is not enough. You have to, at the very least, make a channel and try to educate other men so as to spread the word. If you don't have a channel, then how can you call yourself a courageous man who deserves to pass on his genes? I mean, honestly. You should not just have a strong desire to make a MGTOW channel. You should feel the moral obligation to make a MGTOW channel here on YouTube, because when we are benefited by the wisdom and generosity of others, such as Zeitgeist Eater, Big John of the late channel MGTOW's Freedom, Coltane, Sandman, etc., when we are benefited by the wisdom and generosity of men like this, then we should feel the moral obligation to pay it forward by making our own channel so as to try to help others the way that we ourselves were helped by the channels of wise MGTOW men who came before us. We are all standing on the shoulders of giants. I am standing on the shoulders of all the giants of chemistry and physics and all the other fields that allow me to use a computer to type up a script, record a video, and then upload it to YouTube for all of you to listen to on your own computers. Every one of us is standing on the shoulders of giants when we watch TV, when we listen to music, when we use a computer, when we drive a car, when we do anything, really. We're even standing on the shoulders of giants when we buy groceries and buy clothes. Advanced technology is involved in all of those activities, from the advanced engine in your car to the fertilizers and pesticides used on crops, and the machines used to harvest the crops, and the machines used to harvest cotton that is then woven into clothes by machines for you to buy clothes, that are turned into clothes that you buy, and that means that we owe all those people who came before us, all the giants whose shoulders we are standing on to live this not free, but, comfortable, sort of comfortable, modern lifestyle, right? But we're not all geniuses, and so we cannot all contribute to any of those fields, like physics, chemistry, etc., much less all of them. You'd have to be a super genius to be able to contribute something to pay back all those fields, contribute something important to physics, contribute something important to chemistry, etc. So you can't pay back everybody. You can't pay it all back, right? But I think that most of us can contribute to MGTOW at the very least. We can at least contribute to MGTOW, and we can do so by making videos. And they don't even have to be good. They don't even have to be original stories. Read a Bodice Ripper written by a woman and then point out some of the things in that book that stood out to you and that reveal female nature. Do a video on some Daily Mail articles like Global Man used to do, and maybe still does, I'm not sure. The point is that you don't even have to have original insights to have your own MGTOW channel. You can read a book like The Manipulated Man by Esther Vilar, or you can read the book Men on Strike, and then you can give a summary or read excerpts from the book. You don't have to be a super insightful guy to make MGTOW content, but you do owe it to other MGTOW video makers to start making MGTOW content of some kind in order to pay it forward. You have a moral obligation to do so. You have benefited from Coltane's work, and Sandman's work, and Zeitgeist Eater's work, just like I have. You should feel a moral obligation, just like I did, to benefit others the way that you have been benefited from the efforts of those who came before you. Other people planted seeds, so there are already fruit trees when you were born on this planet. And so you should plant seeds, so that by the time that you die, there will be more trees there. Trees which the people after you will benefit from, because it takes a long time for a tree to grow big enough to actually bear fruit, right? Until you're getting plums or peaches or oranges or whatever, right? We often cannot pay back those who have helped us, and that is why it is important for us to pay it forward. Paying it forward is how we pay back those people who we cannot pay back, right? I can't pay back Sandman. He's smarter than I am, and he's too busy to listen to me even if I could. Right? I can't pay back Coltane. I can't pay back well, I can pay back Zeitgeist Eater, and I have tried to by sending $1,000 in the MGTOW channel. I mean the MGTOW mirror. But my point is, we cannot usually pay most of these people back. Like Coltane and Sandman and Big John. I can't pay those guys back. But I can pay it forward by making my own MGTOW channel and trying to educate more men and making original insights and whatnot, right? And the same goes for those who are benefited by our efforts. They may not be able to pay us back. Like, I don't expect any of you on my channel who listen to my videos to be able to pay me back. But I do expect you to pay it forward in order to pay me back. Because you can pay me back by making your own channel and making videos to help other men, who themselves will make their own channels to help other men. And then those viewers will make their own channels and to pay it forward, to pay it back by paying it forward, by converting yet more men. This is how you make the world a better place. This is how you pay back your moral obligation. This is how you pay people back for the good that they have done for you, right? And they, like I said, they'll in turn yet help more people, and then they'll pay it forward also. And thus MGTOW grows in numbers and in power, and if men pay it forward, then we will eventually regain power, and all of humanity will greatly benefit from our reacquisition of power. Then we can hold the elites accountable, we can make everybody prosperous and free and happy, and then women will be moral again, women will be able to have more kids again, it'll benefit women, it'll benefit everybody, it'll even benefit the elites, because then they'll be forced to be more moral and less psychotic, and then the world that will be created will be more technologically advanced, and then even the elites will benefit from this world, right? So we have to take back power from the elites for the sake of everyone, including the elites. Not that I would do it for the elites, fuck them, if they all die, I don't give a shit. I'm just saying, like, it even benefits them. It's like a win-win-win-win-win. It's a win for everybody if the 99% of men take back control of society. Oh, and by the way, not all of my videos are amazing. Maybe only 1 out of every 5 or 1 out of every 10, or who knows. Maybe only 1 out of every 20 videos on my channel are good enough that I consider them to be definitely worth watching. I'd say it's probably somewhere between like every 7 videos to every 13 videos. I'll make a really good video, right? The others may or may not be worth watching, depending on how many of my older videos you've watched and how insightful you are and such. Maybe you'll get something out of them, maybe you won't. But a few of my videos are such that I think that almost everyone in the MGTOW community would get something out of watching them, because I try to make very original points, original, unique insights that are not made on other channels, instead of just repeating the basics of MGTOW that everyone already talks about. So it's not like I consider myself to be some paragon of wisdom or something, because most of my videos are not amazing or anything. I just try. I just put forth an effort. That's all I do. That's all anyone can do. And since I put out videos every day, it only makes sense that not all of my videos are going to be gems. Some of them are going to suck. A lot of them are going to be mediocre, and maybe 5 to 10% of them, maybe 5 to 15% of them are going to be amazing, right? So if you're subscribed to my channel, then please watch all of my videos, because you have to slog through the crappy videos and the mediocre videos if you want to make sure that you don't miss the amazing videos. If you're just subscribed to my channel without watching very many of my videos, such as most of my subscribers who rarely watch any of my videos are, well then I don't even understand why you're subscribed, because if you only watch 1 out of every 10 videos of mine, then the odds that you're going to end up watching my amazing videos is pretty slim. You're probably only going to end up watching the mediocre or the crappy videos. It seems like my crappiest videos end up being my most popular videos. It's crazy. But occasionally I'll have a good video that's more popular than usual, like my why withholding sex works. That was a recent video that was more popular than usual, and that was a really good one. But most of my really popular ones that get like 500 to 1,000 views, those ones would be like among my worst videos. They're definitely not my good ones. Only people who watch all of my videos, all of them, end up not missing any of my great videos. And since my titles and thumbnails tend to be a bit unusual, in that they probably make people think that the video is going to be about something other than what it is about, this means that the odds are small that a person is seeing my best videos if they're not watching every single one of my videos. Plus, sometimes the best part of the video is in the middle or the end, so if the person doesn't watch the whole video, then they're also going to miss the best parts of many of my videos. Only those who watch all my videos and who always watch the entire video, only those people truly understand the quality of my channel. And I'm not saying my channel is so high quality, I'm just saying, like, whatever quality my channel is, the only people who truly understand that quality, who know what level of quality my channel really is, are the ones who actually watch all my videos and watch the entire video, always, or usually always, right? I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, you can't properly judge a channel unless you've seen most or all of its videos, and unless you've watched all of those videos all the way through. Unless, otherwise you're making an assessment based on incomplete information, and that's usually a bad thing. So yeah, either watch all of my videos or don't watch any of them, and if you watch all of my videos, then watch all of my videos all the way through, or don't even start watching them at all, or don't watch that particular video at all, right? Like, I once heard or read a quote that stuck in my head because it illustrated the importance of not judging something on incomplete information, and the quote went something like this: "Not even God judges until someone is dead, until someone's life is over." And that's really true, right? Like, if God exists, then isn't it true that he doesn't send you to hell until you're dead, right? Like, he waits because maybe you convert on your deathbed, or maybe, you convert in the last few years of your life, and you become a really good person, right? So you should never judge anything until you're judging the whole thing, until you've seen the whole movie, or the whole TV show, or the whole music video, or the whole video on YouTube, whatever it is, right? Like, don't judge something until you've seen the whole thing. Because, like, I've seen movies that I thought were pretty mediocre until the end, and then it had a twist that made it actually a lot better, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm glad I watched this whole movie, because I thought this movie sucked. But then after the really good twist, I'm like, wow, this is a pretty decent movie. I would have thought it was like a C- or a D+ before, but now I realize it's like a B+ movie because the twist is really good, right? So you should never judge anything until you're judging the whole entire thing. The only exception I give to people not watching my whole video is like my long videos, right? Because I'm a reasonable person, so like if my video is 45 minutes or longer, then I don't really blame even my hardcore subscribers if they want to skip such videos. But I do warn my subscribers that I want them to either not watch the video at all, like don't even start watching a long video, because it tells you right there before you even click on the video how long the video is. So if it's a long video and you think you might not watch the whole thing, just don't even click on it at all. Don't watch the video at all, because I don't want my metrics of like how many views I get to be all fucked up by, you know, people who start the video and then don't watch the whole thing, right? So either watch the whole thing if it's a long video, or don't watch it at all. And if it's a short video, then definitely watch the whole thing, just because it's short, so why not, you know? and then, don't start the video and then stop watching it if you've watched the whole thing, before you've watched the whole thing, in the case of my long videos. After all, like I said, I think it fucks up the analytics and the amount that YouTube will push the video if people stop watching the video before the video is over. So either watch my normal length videos or don't watch any of them. And either watch my entire long videos or don't even start watching those long videos at all. Just wait until the next day to watch a shorter video of mine, when I put out another video the next day. Or go through my old videos. If you want to watch one of my videos on a day and it's a long video that day and you don't want to watch a long video, then just go back, go to my original channel and watch one of my shorter videos there. Or go back on this channel and watch one of my shorter videos from the beginning of the channel before you subscribed. Some of the older videos that you've not ever seen. Watch one of those shorter videos. So I want to say that. And then the last thing I want to say was a little bit of propaganda. In the TV show The Magicians, there's a scene in the second episode of the 4th season where Dean Fogg, who is a black guy, he's the dean of the School of Magic called Breakbills, he punches this white guy right in the face. Right, the white guy walks out of the building, and Dean Fogg is kind of hanging around the outside of the building, and then the guy kind of starts walking toward him, or is heading toward him like he's going to walk right by him, and then Dean Fogg turns around and punches the white guy right in the face, knocking him down, and then he tells the student, Dean Fogg does, the student who's accompanying him everywhere that he's going, he says, I had an affair with his wife, and he behaved abominably. So this is both feminist propaganda and miscegenation propaganda, because presumably the white man's wife is white, and thus black Dean Fogg having a sexual relationship with a white woman is miscegenation propaganda. And you don't ever see the woman, but the assumption is that she's white, right? And Dean Fogg is black. And because Fogg is blaming the husband who was cheated on, implying that the husband treated her badly, and thus she's not to blame for cheating, that is feminist propaganda. It's a very high-quality show, or a fairly high-quality show, and it's one of the shows that probably one of my favorite shows on TV. Not that I think it's so amazing, because the first season was amazing. The second season was pretty good. The third season was, it was decent. It wasn't amazing or anything. And we'll see how the 4th season is, which just started. So I'm not going to say it's the best show ever or anything, but at least it started out really good, right? So I do like the show. It's very brilliant in a way. It's quite creative. But there is a fair amount of feminist propaganda in it, so if you watch the show, be warned. I'm able to look past a lot, and so I don't mind too much if a show has a moderate amount of propaganda in it. It's only when it has a ton of propaganda in it, like The Fosters, or the new spin-off of The Fosters called Good Trouble. Only shows like that. Shows that seem to exist for no other reason than to push liberal, feminist, gay propaganda. Only those shows annoy me so much that they're basically unwatchable. This has been Redshift. I hope someone got something out of this video. Peace trucks.